Which filter to use is a very common question I'm beginning on my stream, twitch.tv/polarbear, and I'd like to answer it once and for all. I've created a template filter for you to use while red mapping. We can kind of see it simulated here so you can get an idea of what it's hiding and what it's showing. But let's start with leveling, get that out of the way first, and we'll move our way up to this red map farming filter. So if you're leveling, I highly recommend you to just simply use Tie Killer's filter for leveling. He has 3 different versions, and if you head over to his Discord, which I'll have linked down below, he'll have a filter channel here with a little folder on it. You can click his profile, and you can just follow his 3 filters here. Sometimes he'll have some for an extra build, like with Poison Concoction here. So it's always a good idea to kind of go over and check if he's got one for your specific build. But generally, the big 3 are his caster, his melee, and his ranged filters. Now, these are going to be generalized, right? So the caster, it's going to be for witch builds. It's for intelligence. It's for energy shield type bases. So you're going to be getting lots of blue sockets, right? It's going to be 3 blue, 1 green, 3 blue, 1 red. Lots of things like that. Going down to maybe only 2 blue sockets. While the melee one is going to focus on highlighting and calling out with a specific sound file, which is what all these do and why they're so good. It'll say something like 3 red, 1 G, 3 red, 1B. And with the ranged, of course, it's going to be calling out all the green sockets. So it's highlighting specific weapon bases. It has an MP3 custom sound file that plays when your 4 linked colors drop. So you want to make sure that you're choosing the one that not emulates the playstyle, but emulates the sockets that you expect. So, if you expect, let's say you're a strength caster, you may still probably want to do the melee one, even though you're a caster. If all of your supports are going to be red and then one of them will be blue, one of them will be green, something like that, you'll probably want to just do the melee filter, making sure you pick up scepter bases so that you can get good weapon upgrades, or hold alt on the boss and make sure there's not some good weapon that you could pick up off the ground. So just following the filter is not enough, though. You have to head over to his Discord. Like I said, he's going to have some MP3, some custom MP3 files. You need to download this zip file and put it in the same folder that your filter goes through. And to find out where your filter goes, all you've got to do is boot up your POE, enter the game, and in the UI options menu, where you choose what filter, there's going to be a little folder that you can click, and it'll just open you straight up. So we've got options, you go to game, you can see item filter here, you just click the little folder, and it'll open you up right there. And you're going to want to download this zip file, right? It's going to say, it's a little bit spooky, it might be dangerous. Okay, it's not. You'll be fine. You'll extract it to this folder, and you'll go in, it'll be not, you see it was like nested twice, right? You have to go into this other folder as well. You're just going to copy everything here. You're going to Control C and you're going to Control V everything into here. And you'll see that you have a ton of MP3 files alongside your filter files. Once you do that and follow this, you'll be able to see it in game. You click refresh and you're following them, and they'll have this kind of green, teal, bluish hue to them, whereas the normal ones have this kind of, typical, just normal yellowish, I don't know, whitish text color. So yeah, you've got his Killer followed filters here, and you can just click them, boom, it should work. If you get a Quicksilver MP3 error, it means you did not copy all the MP3 files over correctly, okay? All right, but that's the Killer filter for leveling. I use these on League Start. I use them every time I level a character. They're absolutely fantastic. Now, let's say you are not leveling. Let's say you're going into white maps. Well, it's super easy. All you've got to do is head over to Filter Blade. This will also be linked down below. And all you need to do is click on Semi-Strict. You just drag the bar here, and you're all good. Go to Save and Export. If you want, you can sign in with POE, and this will sync your filter to your Path of Exile count. So just like how you are following the tie killer filter and it shows up on POE right away, there's no need to drag the filter. You can do the same with your own stuff, right? So I have league start early mapping, no crap fractures. You can do the exact same with your filters here. Personally, I prefer, because I'm a boomer, I guess, to just continue without saving, and I'll download the filter that I want, just like that. I'll just click it, I'll open it in the folder, and I'll drag it on over into my Path of Exile filter, where I know that's where my filters are, as I've pinned it on the taskbar on my side of my file explorer. Uh, so this is for white maps. Let's say you want this for white maps for a few reasons. You're broke, you need a bunch of rares to upgrade your res, and you want to see as much as possible because you have nothing. You're league starting. I assume you have absolutely nothing. So it's going to show a bunch of rares. You should take those rares, identify them, vendor them, get alterations, use those alterations to roll your flasks, because rolling flasks is a super huge early defense boost. And it's really important that you get your flasks rolled, as those mods are super, super important. You should be having all of your flasks have suffixes before you reach yellow maps. It's really important, unless you like dying in video games. All right, that's on you then. Once you get to yellow maps, once your flasks are rolled, you don't really need all those crappy rares anymore. You've kind of triaged your resistances. You just come back to the website and click strict, and you do the exact same thing. You sync it up to your account, or you download it and you do it the boomer way, and you drag it into your folder, just like you did with all the other filters. Now, for red maps or even late yellows, you might want to go to very strict, right? You kind of just vibe it out, man. If your inventory is full before you're even done with the map, you probably should go up in strictness. You shouldn't ever be at a point until you're doing super juicy endgame farms where or you got a bunch of really lucky drops or something. You shouldn't be portaling out of your map to dump your loot and then going back in. You want to have one inventory of loot per map when you're doing like these early maps. It's not worth it to leave a map to vendor a bunch of rares unless you're like super down bad and you really need those alts for your gear, right? Then you would do it. Or, maybe you got a bunch of really good bases and you're really struggling on resistance and you got like, a ton of rings or something somehow with a bunch of 6 sockets and you're just full and you want to pick up more rings, right? You got a bunch of amethysts or something. Like ideally you just have one inventory per map. So you can update your strictness based on that. Now, when you're doing red maps and you're doing altars and you're starting to get the juice and you've got like 100 points on your Atlas tree, you're doing some like expedition farm or something. I got to bring it up every video. Then you can go to uber strict. And this is where I have created a template. And you see it's asking me to load my autosave. I'm going to do that as I've made quite a few changes to this. So some of these changes are kind of just hiding crappier currencies. So these 2 chance orbs, I'm hiding those. At this point, you probably don't need to go back for a chance orb ping. It's going to hide some of the lower tier maps. Obviously, still showing like the big stuff. It's going to show scouring orbs. Those are worth it. But 4 jewelers, I'm hiding the 4 jewelers. Honestly, let's use this as an example. And you can always go in and simulate. I'm picking up fusings, so I probably should also be picking up 4 jewelers, okay? So it's a good thing I simulated that. Boom, we've got the 4 jewelers. I'm going to hide 2 chromes. If you need chromes, come in here, edit your own filter. This is just what I expect to want to pick up when I'm blasting these red maps, especially when I'm blasting red altars. Things like chisels, maybe you want to pick up your chisels. I don't mind hiding 1 singular chisel at this point in the league. So I filter that out. But this is kind of just once you're set up, once you're farming, you're kind of gaming at this point, man. And the more you filter out, the faster you can farm. And generally, you don't want to be picking up random little currencies like 5 armor scraps, right? 1 single jeweler orb. You would never like go back to pick up a jeweler orb at this point. Like I have 1,000 jewelers off of just picking up just the stacks and getting them from 2 gin and all of that. 1 chrome, 6 blacksmith. It's pretty strict. Another thing that I've done is I've edited some of the splinter drops so you don't see any of the bad splinters. And more so, I've done a lot of div card changes, not like a ton, but I've hidden all of these that are kind of like crappy ones. If you disagree, you can change like the union. I don't know. That one's actually not that bad. I missed that one, the GCPs. But I've added a lot of the ones that were in here, up here, just the good ones. But some of these, 6 cards for an offering to the goddess. But with this, use at your own risk, okay? We may disagree on some things. You might be pissed. And to that, I say, stop being so lazy and make your own filter then, okay? This is just my personal opinion on my filter. If you disagree, just make your own, man. Filter blade, it's super easy. You see this little customizer here? Let's say you wanted to actually see these white maps. Well, you can just go find it in the highlight, in the customizer, and then you click show. It's as easy as that. One last thing that you should do if you want to edit your own filter is going to be this in-game item recreator. So press Control plus Alt plus C while hovering over an item in your POE inventory to copy it, paste it in the box, and recreate that item in Filter Blade. This lets you see the rule that caught the item and what the rule is for, and to directly edit that rule. So let's say that I'm seeing, let's say as an example, I'm seeing stacks of, like 2 binding orbs, and I don't want to see them anymore. I'm going to hold Alt, I'm going to hold Control, I'm going to press C, I'm going to bring it here, and then I'm going to paste that item in here. And it's highlighted this as a currency high tier. And I'm going to find this in the customizer, and it's going to show me this is where the binding orbs are. So if I want to hide the binding orbs, I just drag them down. Let's do this as another example for this unique here. We hold Alt, we could, Control C, we copy it, and we paste it in here. And now we have uniques that are on multiple bases. This is something that's going to happen. Some uniques are on multiple bases. This is, an example with like Heavy Belt, right? That's Mage Blood, Doriani Invitations, Died in Dawns, and Biscos. But more often than not, it's going to be some crap like Belt of the Deceiver. But you'd never filter this out just because most of them will be Belt of the Deceiver, because it might be Mage Blood. So you just have to hover it every single time. And that's Path of Exile, baby. Anyways, hopefully this answers just about, the one question. Okay, what filter to use. Just go to Filter Blade, use the default filters. In summary, go to Filter Blade, use the default filters when you're mapping, use the tie killer filters while you're leveling, and just go up to Uber Strict once you're in red maps and kind of do some modifications from there. Sync it up with your profile. What I like to do is, just as a nice little wrap up with a bow, what I like to do is every league I'll take, 1, 2, maybe 3 maps. Once I'm kind of established and in my endgame farm, and I will just have this filter tab open here, and I'll have it on customize, and I'll go through the map, and I'll see an item I don't want anymore. I'll pause, in my map. I'll just Alt tab out. I'll either do the holding Alt and copying it and pasting it into here to find it, or I'll just simply go to customize and search for it here. Like, let's say I don't want to find 6 sockets anymore. I don't want to have jeweler recipes anymore. And so I'll just come in here and I'll disable them and I won't see them anymore. I'll just do that over the course of one map. And at the end, I'll take it, I'll export it, or I'll sync it with my profile, and then boom, into the next map. I'll do this again. And slowly but surely, if I'm doing Legion Expedition, I'll find every single item that I don't really want to see anymore. Maybe eventually there'll be like 1 or 2, and I can just go in here, quickly edit. But you just do that. It takes maybe an extra like 5 minutes, and now you have a really nice filter. And it allows you, with this nice filter, to not have to use your brain. You don't have to think anymore. And that's what Path of Exile is all about, baby. Not using your brain while you're blasting and clearing maps is the absolute best. I love that. Anyways, like, subscribe. I'll catch you guys in the next one. I'll see you guys later. Bye.